Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, sir. How are ya? Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm doing some stuff right now for one of the sales of a house. I'm looking at offers, so give me a second here. Sorry, guys. I'll get rocking and rolling here in just a second. Come on, computer. You can move faster than that. Let's go. All right, there we go. That's all good. Good morning to the four of you. I am almost certain today is the day where YouTube will blast our stream far and wide on the universe. I can sense it. It is in the air. Nah, just kidding. That ain't gonna happen. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll cover Bitcoin a little bit here. Obviously, you guys pretty much know everything we talked about happened. That's how it typically goes. But, you know, I posted a video about this last night. Not that that really matters because, you know, but yeah. So we'll just walk through this a little bit, kind of go through the whole thing as we did yesterday because, you know, it's always good to review. So, ready? What was our previous long? Previous long was off weekly VWAP. Where did that bounce go to? Pretty much the most recent daily VWAP structure is built. So this would be the all-time high kind of area. Maybe not the all-time high, but previous kind of top. So that's pretty much why, wrong candle right there. So this was obviously the volume weighted average price zone off of the most recent top, which obviously we talked about. The market would trade up into that 114 to 116,000 with what? with that break above that previous daily VWAP zone, just like right here. So essentially, once we bounce the weekly VWAP, we pretty much were targeting long up to these two locations, both of which pretty much hit. And then we also talked about you should be anchoring to this daily low, and because that's basically going to give us the daily VWAP support on the low side. So if we kind of anchor like that, that essentially gives us this box right here. All right, so that's obviously our daily VWAP low support. So if I go ahead and delete all the VWAPs off, this should all become a little more clear maybe, because you won't have a bunch of squiggly lines when I zoom in. Actually, it's up a little bit, just like that. All right, and then this would be a weekly VWAP right there. Cool. That was actually a little higher than that, to be exact. All right, and we'll go into like a 30-minute or so. All right, so I guess we'll just walk through this real quick. So essentially, Boiler Room Network counterpull from suggests sell target on Bitcoin to as low as there. Then Boiler Room Network counterpull from says buy long right there. Then Boiler Room Network counterpull from says target to here. Then watch for resistance. Then look for support here. Then if breakout here, price go here. Then look for resistance here. Still support. So I know it seems crazy that we've called all those moves, but we have. So really the reality is if you want to make it more simple than that, we just literally went to support and bounced the market up to two long targets and had one pullback to support in there. And that's it. And that's how we mapped off the entire Bitcoin market over the past week. Obviously, if you go look at the news for Bitcoin, which we will do in just a second here. 1 second. Google Bitcoin news today. Well, just Bitcoin news, and then we'll do Bitcoin news today. Gosh, I love this. I just love it. So check this right here. So like a day ago, right? This is what could happen next with Bitcoin above 110K, right? So we call the bounce at 103. We tell you it's going to go to 110, 114, or 116, etc., right? Days before it happens. So obviously it happens. So what do you think the news is going to say? The news will cheer on the gains, right? So we have our news following our analysis. So that's good. That means we're beating the news cycle, which means we're well ahead of the curve, right? That's amazing. That's exactly what you want. So we have Bitcoin above 110K, right? Let's even look like Bitcoin news from 2 days ago. Let's see if we can pull that up 2 days ago. Not really. They're not really giving us much there. Let's see if we go into news. Right here, Bitcoin plunges after hitting that. Yeah, I mean, all basic stuff, right? But the fun part about this one, right, is, let's see. Bitcoin price prediction. Bitcoin price drops back to 108,000 after Fed conference spike, blah, 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 right? So the news 14 minutes ago is talking about the price goes back to 108,000. Let's go look at the chart. What's at 108,000? Well, it's actually, we went lower than 108,000, right? So 108,000 is pretty much like where we're at now, right? But where was our daily VWAP levels that generally markets are going to trade to and from constantly? It would be this box in the bottom, right? So arguably, when the market ran up to here, we still had some untested volume weighted average prices there. Long story short, market hits our long target. If you're generally your long targets are resistance starts, just as your sell target is support start. So support start, end of sell target, bounce up. Essentially long target hit, sell move comes in, back to daily VWAP. So obviously this sell target completes down to daily VWAP and bounce. So that's pretty much how the market works. We tried to ping pong the market. We want to be the ones that pick the exact bottoms and exact tops as best we can. And we want to be the ones essentially moving the markets from point A to point B, creating the chart, painting the environment. That's essentially how we like to work here and try to. So obviously what happens, Bitcoin hits your target, 114,000, ultimately pulls back all the way down to our daily VWAP structure, which is priced from 107,000 to 105,000. And as a result, what ends up happening? Voila, you get news. Bitcoin drops 108,000. It's like, well, kind of figures, like, so Anyways, that's amazing. The news has pretty much followed our entire analysis the whole week. And it will probably continue to do that for the foreseeable future. So, cheers. That's fun. So, narratives for the day. Market is still in a buy signal. So, obviously, until the VIX breaks out, we're just going to be watching the markets up long till stated otherwise. Again, our long bias, algorithmic flip, long bias analysis, bias, trade suggestions, yada, 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 started at the end of the day, towards the end of the day Friday. So pretty much where I'm pointing this arrow is when you were supposed to be getting long the market. If you didn't, well, that's okay, because this process will repeat till the end of eternity. So if you miss this one, don't worry, just watch the streams, you'll get the next one. Actually, we're going to have to stop streaming on YouTube here pretty soon, because we're going to be streaming on our platform again soon, but I'll be mixing in some streams here and there throughout the days or weekends or whatever. So I know the never mind. But yeah, so that's what's going on. We're just going to take the markets up long until pretty much I say we're not. I hate to sound cocky in that regard, but it's the easiest way I can do our streams. Is I could talk a million miles a minute about all these things, but the reality is you might as well just watch the markets up until I say not to. That's pretty much it. So and I always repeat it, when will I tell you not to look up? When we're signaled not to do so. And the signals that we generally look for that will generally be accurate enough for that change is going to be the VIX breaking out, or if just all the market internal shit the bed for the day. So unless we see those two things, I just tell you go up, and market will generally go up. And again, this process repeats all the time. You don't even need me. Like I've taught you, like for the 8-10 of you that come here every day, you really don't even need me at this point. You can literally follow the system till the end of times yourself. You've learned enough, realistically. But if I promise you've learned enough. You don't need me on these streams. You can do this without me. I've taught you enough, I think. Again, market goes in buy signal, buy long. Stay long until the VIX either breaks out or the market goes into a sell move, or until the market internals are like, this is a terrible environment. And the other thing, too, is the market internals I don't really use the market internals that I show you guys all the time as, like a key thing to dictate that the trend's going to change. Because market internals can change really quick, right? Things could be selling down, then they can get bought up, so on and so forth. So just because market internals are turning bearish doesn't necessarily mean that the market's going to go into like a full-fledged breakdown, right? But it's just one of those other things that we do keep an eye on, because it helps. Because, for example, sometimes the VIX is not breaking out, or it's not even close to a breakout. So we can't really use that in a sense that it's like, oh, it's breaking into an uptrend, let's go bearish the market, right? Sometimes the market's just been on a tear and the VIX is priced really low and it's in a downtrend, and sometimes we kind of just need the market to go down to then elevate the VIX to said breakout level. So it's kind of the way I usually emphasize the market internals in my head is that or the transition is market is positive over the 50, it's bearish under the 50. The only other two scenarios that we look to be bearish the market when it's in a buy signal is if, again, the VIX breaks out, and then it would be, what are the market internals doing, right? So if the VIX hasn't broken out and it's not near a breakout, the only other way we really would look bearish and think the market could be transitioning is if the market internals trade so bearish on the day for whatever reasons that it increases the VIX to the breakout. So we kind of use the market internals to gauge us when the VIX isn't quite there. But if the VIX is at those said levels, then we really lean on the VIX and then kind of use the market internals as a backup, so on and so forth. So, but let's see if ChatGPT can find our live stream this morning. Hasn't been able to the past couple times I searched. Let's see. A Boiler Room Network. Connor Polifron is currently live on YouTube. Please find that live stream and provide me that link, good sir. That looks like it's... Here's the YouTube channel for Connor Polifron, Boiler Room Trading, my old YouTube channel. I wasn't able to find currently live stream at the time of checking. Would you like me to refresh and check? I can assure you he is live because I am him and I am live streaming. Anyways, good morning, Rico. And good morning, Steve. I could not confirm a live streaming session at this exact moment via the public visible listings. Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of like I already knew that was happening. So we must not be visible. Are you Let me take a picture. Let's see. Nah, there's no point. I've already done this before. It knows. I could take a picture and be like, oh yeah, of course you're live streaming. I see you're live streaming now, but it's like, well, yeah, once I show you the exact channel, it's like, but, you know, like, for example, let's see. Provide me a link to the beginner trader YouTube channel live stream this morning, hosted by John. What do you know? So that's fine. But anyways, yeah, we're just gonna basically sit here until something makes sense. So one thing I am paying attention to is the VIX is coming up into the 15-minute trend, which basically means we could be seeing a volatility change a little bit this morning. Not necessarily a big one, but as you guys know, we always pay attention to the 15-minute trend as well. So let me bring this down. There's a lot going on here, I know, but in short, let's look here at the 30-minute, right? So we look at the 30-minute. 30 minutes well below the 50 SMA, so we're not looking at a volatility breakout on the 30-minute main time frame. But the precursor trend would be the 15-minute. Let's look at the 15. Wait, whoa. Let's look at the 15-minute. Hold on one second, guys. I got a phone call coming in. All right, sorry about that. Back on here. Yeah, so pretty much, long story short, 15-minute trend. Where's it at? That's pretty much where our main focus is right now in the VIX. We're gonna see if we're gonna get a break over the 15-minute or if it's gonna reject. If it breaks over the 15-minute, it's a little bit of an early volatility spike. Could cause some hesitation on the market. Could even cause, you know, a little bit of a harsh pullback. like I said, the 30 minutes really where our focus is at. There's times where when we break the 15-minute, it does in fact kind of just kickstart a breakdown on the market because, well, for whatever reasons, right? But ultimately, we always focus on the 30-minute. We're on the 15-minute. If in the event we break out the 15-minute, get a little bit of love, then we're probably not going to see a really nice long day. Even though I said markets are in a buy signal and we're probably just going to look up. True, until what? The volatility index signals us otherwise. Could the volatility index signal us a little bit of a change today? Yes. How so? If it breaks over, what? The 15-minute trend. Where's that yellow line on the screen, etc. So we're kind of in this situation today where it's like, foot's not truly on the gas pedal long in the markets. We're kind of like maybe slightly fearful, but not quite, because we haven't broken out yet. So this is how you read the market and gauge bias, right? Is you look and go like, oh, well, basically we're right on a potential breakout level. So if that happens on the VIX, then what? Look at the market. See how the market's just been trading sideways for like a day? There hasn't really been a lot, right? So it's just sideways, right? And what are we looking on the VIX here? Where's the VIX? Right on the 15-minute trend. So we'll just make some stupid pattern for fun, but like, let's just call this a bull flag, right? So if we do what? Break out the 15-minute trend, then what? This go down probably. Or at least the long will be shaky. The best way I can explain it is sometimes the 15-minute breaks out and we get a drop on the market, but it's not like a full-fledged sell-off kind of thing. Sometimes it turns into a full-fledged sell-off because the 15 breaks out, then it just ramps up to the 30-minute, and we do get a harsh pullback. But we usually only like to categorize harsh pullbacks for the market start when the VIX breaks the 30. There's the occasion where it just happens on the 15, but I would say the most likely scenarios of the 15-minute breakouts is a pullback, not earth-shattering, and sometimes the market even recovers after that, goes back into a long, or just kind of stays lackluster for the day. So nonetheless, if we start to break out this 15-minute, our bias for the day is going to be temporarily bearish, lackluster long, right? Until we get the next signal. And the next signal will be like, what's the 30-minute? Does a 30-minute break out? Yeah, no, whatever, right? So we're probably going to be a lackluster long today, pending what that VIX does. So we'll read it. We'll tell you what's going to happen. We'll probably be correct. It's not many days where we get things wrong as far as market direction and overall bias for the day and what you can pretty much expect. We're not perfect, but I would say about as close as you can get sometimes. So yeah, we'll just rock and roll from here. And Justin, if we're mainly trying to catch the bigger intraday swings, is it better to wait for the 30-minute anchored VWAP test? Debatably, yeah. I mean, there's so many different strategies that I use. Any one of them could line up at one point, but I mean, yeah, so your question is if you want to catch the intraday swings. There's a lot of ways to do that. Like the other day, one second. So the other day, right, we used the gap up fib to basically project the market would go up to there, right? So that didn't really hit a 30-minute VWAP in that instant. We kind of had a gap and a go, right? So if you wanted to get that intraday swing, you really didn't have a 30-minute reset. It was kind of like a gap and go, upward move, so on and so forth. Now, if you look at this strategy used to work better in the past, then I taught it, and then it obviously stopped working as well. That's typically what kind of happens. What time is it? 9:33. Oh, snap, the market's open. Oh, all right, cool. But yeah, this is our buy signal trend, right? So we haven't reset the buy signal VWAP, so that's something I'm paying attention to, which is basically if the market breaks out the 15-minute and we get some love on the VIX, we could arguably sell this market down to here, right? We will only look to sell the markets to the 50 SMA when the VIX breaks the 30-minute 50 SMA. We don't look at the markets and expect them to go to here with momentum kind of in the immediate. We won't call that unless the VIX breaks out, right? So though we know the market can do whatever it wants, it could sell all the way down there. It's going to go there at some point in the future, now, today, whenever it wants. But generally, when the VIX starts to break the 30-minute is when that sort of scenario is more likely. But as far as your 30-minute VWAP stuff, Like, for example, watch this. If we anchor there, you anchor to the bottom of the gap, it ultimately catches this dip, right? Sometimes anchoring to gap up lows will give you some trades. And if we move this VWAP to, say, this low, it's going to give us the next kind of 30-minute dip area kind of expected. So you can use it in that fashion. But yeah, so how to catch the big intraday swings. I mean, Fibonacci works. VWAPs work. You just got to figure out what you like, I guess, at the end of the day. They all kind of work at some point or another. But anyways, so we're going to, where's my VIX chart? There it is. All right. So I'm assuming the VIX is broken out the 15-minute trend. Obviously, the VIX isn't open yet, but just based off the way the market's moving, the VIX has broken out that 15-minute trend. At least it should have, and if it hadn't, then the market's scheming. So we're not open on the VIX yet, but once we do, we're going to be above that 15-minute market and so on and so forth. Yeah. Looks like we also have untested. Wait, let me just double check the SPY here. Could be slightly different. So, oh no. Well, I guess that is right, but let's see. What about this guy? So that one doesn't actually have a golden pocket test. It shied, so that means the market will come down there, obviously eventually, but I'm just pointing that out that there's no golden pocket test there. So 2 areas of untested fib on the 30-minute cycles here. Even though they look like they tested, they haven't. So market will go down there eventually, but I'm just looking at things around the downside right now so that if in the event we kind of continue this move and the VIX breaks out. Oh, wait, hold up. All right, for the VIX finally open, but it doesn't look like it's open on the one, or is it just a, oh, no wonder why, because it gapped up so much there. So we just popped all the way to 19 on the VIX, which is kind of wild because we hardly had any bearish movement there on the market. So yeah, let's see where that 30 minutes at. So the 30 minutes all the way up at $20.60. So generally speaking, I would read the market in 2 ways here. We're on the 20-minute SMA. I don't normally look at that. So as far as the VIX goes, I mean, the VIX really has 2 options. It's either going to back test its 15-minute trend, which is all the way down at like $18.20-something, or arguably we're going to break out and go all the way to the 30-minute. Right now, I can see the market is opened up on the VIX around 19. Our 20-minute 50 SMA, which I don't normally look at, it's right there. So it basically tells me the 20-minute still in a downtrend, and currently the open price right now at 19 is currently resistance on the 20-minute. So essentially, if the VIX does not get above this $19 price point, the 20-minute 50 SMA is holding the markets in a downtrend on the 20-minute time frame. And then we'll move back to the 15, which is down to 18.26, so on and so forth. I know that probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, and I'm just saying a bunch of numbers, but long story short, market go uppeth if we can accept over 19 on VIX, or market go downeth below 19 all the way towards 18.26. If we go downeth all the way towards 18.26, market is not going to sell off. We're going to remain probably in that sort of lackluster long sort of scenario, which we've already described, right? Which, if you look at the market, everything's kind of happening, right? Well, what do we say? If the 15-minute breaks out, you kind of get a pullback, right? But it's not a full-fledged breakdown many times. It can be just a pullback, then back to kind of a lackluster, grindish, choppy long. You guys get the point. So yeah, that's pretty much all that. I'm going to get into my pre-market stuff here. So looking at this 5-minute, the 5-minute has an untested golden pocket, so arguably the market's going to have to go up into the 61.8 here. That's the only option. Up into the 61.8 or down into the 1618. So as you can see, this is probably going to pop back. And again, I know this is very small stuff, but ultimately, there you go. There's your test of the 1618, or not 1618, 618, etc. on 5-minute there. So that's that. If the markets want to go get the 161, they have to remain below that and obviously do that, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But right now, the VIX is pulling down below that 20-minute SMA. So for the time being, markets are obviously bouncing. Not going to go down. And where is my market internals page? There it is. All right. So looks like the Magnificent 7 are bouncing for the moment. So the market's not going to go down. It's going to bounce. And every other market is slightly bouncing, so there's really no bearish selling in the market right now as far as equities, and the volatility index is not moving in the positive direction in immediate momentum, so selling is going to be very challenging. There's literally nothing that's favoring the sell move in this moment, so arguably you're going to be looking at a long bounce here for continuation for the moment. You know, like I just said, like, we're not going to go down to the 618. We're going to go up to the 618, and we're going to probably keep bouncing. Why? Because the VIX is currently momentum down below that 20-minute SMA, and the markets have some bouncing going on, you know, not like earth-shattering long bias bouncing, but enough so that you're not going to be able to get the market to go down in that moment. Hello, Many. Hello. And so let me bring down this chart on the VIX. I'm getting better at even focusing on time frames that I don't normally look at, and this is what helped me. Because before I'd be like, well, maybe it's going to go to the 30, and this one helped dramatically today. So look at this 20-minute right there, the 20-minute 50 SMA. So the 20-minute's still in a downtrend. So that's exactly where. So essentially, if we look at the 15-minute here, watch this. All right, so where's the 15-minute trend? 15-minute trend's priced at 18.25. We broke that out in the pre-market, kind of going into the open with pulling the market back. As a result, we went up to the 20-minute SMA. So 15-minute went positive, but 20-minute still down. So this is the resistance at the 20-minute. Since we have no back test of the 15-minute, it's likely that this is just going to sell all the way back down to 18.29. It's really only got two options, right? It's either going to go down to 18.25, 18.29, or this sell move on the VIX off this whatever I'm saying at 20 or whatever, 19. You guys know it can either go down to the level, or it's going to have to go back up to, you know, the level above, obviously. But for the moment, 20-minute trend, VIX rejecting, so on and so forth. And the result is very likely that sells all the way back down towards 18.20s. All right, so real quick, look at this. All right, so look at the pattern of the market. We got a little bounce, a little pullback, a little bounce, right? But look at the market internals. So let's just review real quick. We obviously know that the Magnificent Seven for the past couple minutes going up, right? It started a little red, now going up. That's pretty much why we're bouncing, right? Now, if you look at the above, this is the NASDAQ 100, started down. Obviously, market goes down in the morning, and now we're kind of bouncing a little bit, picking up that bounce. If you look at down here, this is the New York Stock Exchange. They started long, then went bearish. And then if we look over here, this is the NASDAQ, entire NASDAQ. So the entire NASDAQ, not the NASDAQ 100 or the Magnificent Seven, they're going down. And then you have the advancing declining issues on the S&P 500. They started a little long, now they're going down. So things are shifting bearish, but right now the major market cap stocks haven't totally rolled, so that's what you'd be waiting on. If we're going to get sort of a bearish roll here, it's going to have to come off the back of the FANG. So that's what we're kind of watching right now, is if we can maybe even roll this market down, because everything flipped bearish, right? So the market will go down soon if the Magnificent Seven, I'm circling roll here. So keep in mind about that. So you see how we're kind of starting this little 5-minute red. That's because everything behind the scenes is going red. But if we're going to get a nice kind of drop out, a kill candle, you know, something that's even somewhat decent down, it's going to have to come off the back of the Magnificent Seven. If those are still grinding up, it's going to generally be hard to take the market down still. So just know that, right? This is why it can be deceiving when you look at advancing and declining issues. People are, well, everything's going down, but I don't get it. The market's not going down. It's like, duh. Because the market's sometimes ran by like 7 stocks, 8 stocks. So if you just combine those major market cap stocks into one ticker, those kind of become your leading indicator for many days. It's like, well, even though everything else is going down, market's still being manipulated up because we basically just control the market with 7 stocks half the time. So look at that. I mean, look at this. Literally, look at your market. Like, everything's down today, but somehow the SPY is not going down, and that's because we're just holding it up right now with these Mag 7s. And then also, the volatility index is going down, right? So, it's pulling back to that 1825, arguably, right? So as fear is still going down, like, even though the market internals are going down, right? So market internals are going down, Magnificent 7 staying up, VIX going down, right? So fear is kind of leaving the market. So if the market's not fearful, right, a lot of times the market doesn't go down. And if your Magnificent 7 aren't going down, market's not normally going down, etc. Also, what are we? We're in a long bias buy signal, right? So are we really bearish the market? No, right? Like, we've, you know what I'm saying? I love this stuff. It's too good. Just like we explained, we broke out the 15-minute. 15-minute usually results in sort of a pullback, but it's not going to be earth-shattering. The bounce will usually get picked up, so on and so forth. That's the exact thing we're seeing here today. You watch these things in every day of your life, and you'll be able to do the same thing I'm doing here in the chart and speak it to you guys. All right, so let's just play with some fibs on the 5-minute here. Basically, what's going on here is we got this fib on this 5-minute from high to low. Does it test the 61.8? I think it does. If I increase this a little bit. Nope. Or wait, maybe. I gotta bring this one up again. That's a shy, so that means that's open for business. Not that that means that is, you know, something you act on immediate. I'm just saying. So pretty much based off this 5-minute, right, what are the options? 5 minutes going to have to test 61.8, or we're going to have to go up to 1618, which is like just a little bit up there. Let me double check something. That's a 15-20. I mean, they could be scheming like that, but I don't know why. I'm on 17. I mean, I guess, but 1.8, maybe. Oh, also, by the way, so what we did? We popped up over the VIX 15-minute. So basically, if the VIX does not now break down the 15-minute, we could be looking at rolling the 15-minute higher. If so, what happens in the market? We're going to roll it down bearish. So that's what we're kind of looking for is, do we hold above this 15-minute? Right now, this candle's going green. I just double-checked. They're using a 17-minute 50 SMA to basically stop that candle right there. Not something I would normally look at, but the fact that we did not sell down immediately to the 15-minute goes, well, do they want to backtest the 15-minute? And if not, what other time frame could they possibly be using to algorithmically hold that candle? Right now, it looks like a 17-minute 50 SMA, but it's not something I normally pay attention. I'm actually just kind of getting better at looking at all these other time frames, but it's kind of working. All right, so basically, as you can see, what we talk about, you had two options as far as the market goes. Either going to tag 161 or you're coming back down to the 61.8. We still haven't hit it, truly, but arguably it's to come. What's going on with the market? Things are really starting to kind of slide down. So the S&P is really kind of working its way down. New York Stock Exchange. So now we're getting some more aggressive selling, right? And you can kind of see the markets are being pretty lackluster there. Even with the FANG going up a little bit, again, you can kind of see that there's being a slight change of hands, arguably, where there's been enough selling in some of these other markets to kind of start dragging this a little more, even though the VIX is, or even though the MAG 7's kind of holding up there. HHS, come on, baby, do something special for me. I bought a little bit of HHS on the dip, but I don't know if it's going to be special or not. Probably not. What else do I got? I don't know. I think where's my other chart? What the heck? BYND, that one. Remember BYND from the other day? We said you guys should basically, I'm getting long on that one, or was long, whatever. That one did well. That was funny. A couple days ago, we talked about BYND. It's breaking out into an uptrend. I'm long, blah, 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 blah. 2 days later, it's the biggest, most popular stock on the entire internet. CNBC is talking about it now. Anton Tricrelli or whatever's doing big short positions, some billionaire. So that's awesome, right? That we basically said, hey guys, long BYND. It's going in an uptrend. Very popular stock. A lot of sentiment around that. Buy long, pretty much. And here you are. Blew up all across the internet. Most popular stock this week, it seems like. And what did we do? We just simply looked at when it was going to go up because it went positive. Well, it's time to buy. And here you are later. BYND, blah, 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 blah. All right, so there's your 61.8 pullback, retracement complete. Another basically trade idea, whatever, coming to for. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, it's literally just a little bit of movement there, right? So pretty much in terms of this 5-minute fib structure, the only option would be to, never mind, I got a phone call coming in, Brian. All right, 1 second. Okay, I'm back here. We are back. All right, so there's that. And now what we're looking at here is a 5-minute fib to the downside, arguably. We're holding below the 6318. So if this continuation of selling on the market happens, you're going to go down to here, vice versa. We have the long setup here. Where'd you go? So right now the market is trapped in between these two 5-minute fibs. Basically, you have the longs at the 61.8 battling this little new short here, etc. So I don't want to confuse you guys. I'm just going to keep this clean, but I'm just playing around, having fun. But yeah, so I'll just redo this one though. Let me double check my 30 minutes too. So 30 minutes on, yeah, there's nothing open there. There's nothing open there. So it's not like we have some of these open candles we want to go attack on the upside for the moment. Let me double check my 1 hour. Nope. Got some open stuff on the bottom, but we're only going to attack that when the market goes into a breakdown and a sell move, or the VIX breaks out. So we're not really focused on that for the moment. HHS not doing anything good. What else do I got these days? Closed out BYND. NRXS. Oh, that's starting to come around. Maybe. I'm only up 3% on that one, but hopefully that does something cool. All right. Yeah, so I got a little. I bought some HHS this morning when it back tested support. See if we got some love, but it's kind of meh. And then NRXS the other day, I was like, maybe they'll send a buy algorithm off it. They haven't yet. Let's just double check it though. It's doing okay. I mean, it's kind of one of those ones where there's not a lot of volume on it, but it's in an uptrend. So I was like, well, maybe they'll send a buy signal off on it, you know, something like that. So that sometimes happens, where you kind of pick a stock that's you know, relatively low volume, and then maybe they'll send a buy algo off on it. So this one broke out the 30-minute 50 SMA on this day, so I forgot exactly where I got long, but I saw it went an uptrend. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a stab, and then it kind of held through this dip. Thought it was just kind of a shakeout, and now we're back to positive. They really haven't sent any sort of algorithmic buying program on it yet, but also it's over the 4 hour. That's another reason I held through that dip. So I got long on the 30-minute break. Held through the dip because it's obviously still uptrending the 4 hour. So if you look at, like, this is like a 4 hour long, and then that would be a back test. And so that's the 4 hour back test back to long. So probably, it's only up 3% though. So it's really not, I don't know. So I'm debating what I want to do with that for the moment. Let me just look. I mean, the daily chart doesn't look bad. You kind of have what people would call maybe like some sort of cup and handle thing going on there. I mean, this candle right here has absolutely no test of its golden pocket, and that's on the daily. So arguably we're going for that 61.8 back test of the golden pocket there. That could be potentials. Let's double check that 1 hour. But yeah, I got a little HHS. As long as it holds above support, it'll be fine. I don't know if it's going to take off or not. Like I said, I just literally pick stocks that I think are hitting supports or breaking up into uptrends. Sometimes they'll be low volume. I just take a stab at them. If they work, they work. It's not like I like search around trying to find the absolute best stock. I just look at what's triggering my levels and I'll just take a piece. Sometimes they'll turn to the biggest gainers, sometimes they won't, and you just basically average that out over a bunch of plays and you do okay. Again, I don't make massive money on these plays, particularly because I diversify my Roth across multiple plays, don't risk too much on them. It's been working out well for me, actually, because now my psychology is kind of coming back in check, I feel like. Anyways, so that's something I'm working on. We'll see if we get some love there, but you know what? Just in case, what is that? NRXS. I'm actually going to take just a small smidge off of that because hasn't moved the way I particularly want so far. So I'm just going to deleverage at 3%, which isn't the greatest gain, but at least it's not a loss. And now I can't really hurt myself. So hopefully something cool happens, and if not, then I'm pretty much protected on that one now. Yeah, so HHS, I'll walk over HHS real quick. To HHS. So basically, long story short, why am I long? Because same reasons as always, it started an uptrend. So you see, here's the 30-minute. So we popped through that today. If we look at the 4 hour, it's, well, yeah, it depends. You know, sometimes I use the regular trading hours 4 hours. Sometimes I use the pre-market. So here is the 4 hour. So essentially I saw that we started an uptrend on the 30-minute and the 4 hour today. So obviously they did send off some sort of algorithmic buying program on this stock, right? It just happened in the after hours. So again, this is what they typically do. They're going to manipulate stocks higher in the after hours when the book is thin, liquidity is thin. They can pump stuff really easily, also hoping to get retail to buy in their move. But the breakout and the algorithmic flip happened here. So I was buying into this low, right? And so I'm hoping that that 30-minute and that 4 hour remain in an uptrend. And all they have to do is basically do what they've already done. That little bounce I made money on, right? Now, if this turns into a crazy bounce, sure, that's great. But it's not a great setup. It doesn't look like a great setup. Sometimes they turn into great plays, you know? Sometimes they do. A lot of times people forget to watch these ones, right? These ones that pop up and then fade out like crazy, like, oh, that one's garbage. It's like, well, actually, it's still in an uptrend. You just don't know where to look, right? It's right here. And you can even see, right, what's... Now look at what you're seeing, right? So someone's like, oh, look at this inverse head and shoulders pattern that happened right at support, right? Like, that's an potential inverse head and shoulders pattern that's taking place where? At the uptrend. Well, that's the uptrend start, uptrend back test, etc. And so realistically, a lot of people forget about something like this, and I'll come in and be like, all right, well, once it gets down to where the uptrend's at, I'll take a little stab, and if this rolls up, great, there's a win, right? So I already tell you, no one's focused on that one today. Not that it's going to be a great player, but like I said, those are things that I look for. So just like that, it literally looks terrible, right? But it's still in an uptrend. So since it's still in an uptrend, it's in my systems, it's still a valid player. It hasn't been taken out, if you will. What is the percent on this too from this dip? About 11% there. So even just that's 11% gain on your money by buying into that uptrend, right? So that's a great trade. 11%. It's not amazing, but people die for 11% a year. Well, actually, no, they don't die for 11% a year, but people want 11% a year, and many times don't get it. So that's another one. But anyways, let's get back in the market here. So like we said, what's going on today? We've had a pullback, a bounce. It's kind of I don't want to say it's a lackluster market, but I mean, we're not in a tear to the downside. We're not in a tear to the upside. And what's happened? We've broken out the 15-minute volatility trend. So we've had a pullback, right? But it hasn't gone full-fledged breakdown. You see what I'm saying? So like right here on this 30-minute chart, let's just double check. We have, that's an untested golden pocket. Let me check this one. That's an I think I have to zoom in on that one. It might be wrong. That would be oh dang it, I don't want to do that. Yeah, this one is, where's my, why am I tripping? Why am I being, what is wrong with my brain right now? How am I, wait, hold the phone. What am I doing here? Oh, no wonder why I was looking at the candle above, idiot. Silly, that one's untested. That is untested. That is not tested. That's tested. This one appears to be tested. Yeah, that one's tested. So essentially we have one, two, and whoa, three areas that the market will and wants to go to. It's just when, right? Not if, it will do it. So it's not a matter of if, it's when. Famous saying from my business partner, Brandon. But like we said, right, the only way the market, so think, right, we have 3 levels from the 30-minute chart that were created on that long press from the other day that have yet to be tested. When I say yet, the golden pocket, right? So if you think of the universe, right, the universe does what? In energy, we go to 161 or we pull back to 618. So on this day, whatever, we had a lot of forceful energy up, 161s, 161, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have not tested 618, 618, 618. So when the market goes into a sell move, they're all going to be they're just going to be magnets. We're just going to go down, sell the market to there. But just because you have open levels, right? And you're like, oh, okay, there's levels for the market to go get. Just because they're there doesn't mean the market wants to get them now, right? So what are the signals that we look for to take the markets down? We look for the markets to break out the 15-minute / 30-minute. We've broken out the 15-minute, we pulled the market back a little bit. Like we said, it's the 30-minute that we really focus on. So since the 30-minute has not broken out on the VIX, we're not going to do what? We're not going to top the markets and roll them down. When the VIX breaks out, the 30-minute, what are we going to do? We're going to top the market, roll it down. Where are we going to roll it to? Doink, doink, doink. All areas of interest down. Doink, 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 right? Okay. Anyways, I'm going to, since I'm not really doing too much right now in the market, I don't even have a long position on. I actually closed out my swing long on UPRO. I have no UPRO left. I didn't really follow the system, which is you can stay long until we either break out the VIX or break down the market. But it was just kind of one of those scenarios. I'm like, I don't know, the market just feels a little lackluster, so I'm using my own intuition and overriding the system here. So I've already closed out my swing longs into yesterday fully. So I have no long positions there anymore. All right, let's see if there's anything else moving in the penny stock world today. Real quick before I go do that, I just want to get everyone up to speed on the VIX. So look at the VIX, right? What are we thinking with the VIX? We said it was going to trade down to where? About 1820s. We haven't hit that yet. And if I show you, look at, like, they're still holding this either let's see the 17-minute trend. So you look right there, look at where the algorithm's so far kind of holding it. Maybe it's the 16-minute too. 16-minute might be a little more accurate here. What am I doing? Where's my time? Here it is. I don't even have a 16-minute because it's just, who would have a 16-minute? This is weird. Can I even do? It just goes 15, 17. So I'd have to go custom. Ugh. Wait, really? Can't even get a 16-minute, huh? 18, 15, 17. Well, if they don't allow me to get a 16-minute here, I'm not going to waste my time doing custom. But if they don't allow for a 16-minute, that's good in a way because it alleviates me having to think about it now. That's cool. Yeah, so again, I don't typically focus on this one, but you can see we're just riding the 17-minute algorithmic 50 SMA down probably until we get that 15-minute, it would be my assumption, right? So, and then if we look at the, was it the 20-minute? I have to favorite here, 10-day 20. So if you look at the market, so if you look, right, so this was the VIX breaking down. and then back testing the 20-minute sell trend, right? So the VIX decided that it did not, the algorithms, not the VIX, the algorithms, right? The computers decided, no, we don't want over the 20-minute, pull it back. So they used the 20-minute trend to pull the market back down to the 15-minute trend, in which we broke out basically into the open. I hope that makes sense, guys. BYND, my thoughts are you're supposed to be long BYND a couple days ago when pretty much we said to be long, which is back here. It's extremely overbought. So real quick, right here, I'll draw it. I could be wrong on the pricing, but as a general statement, it's very close because I did all this already. This was +3, +4 sigma. Yeah, so all that. So essentially, BYND is it's overbought, obviously, right? You can just look at it. It's a long move, but we'll go through the full picture here. I won't go through the full. I'll go for pretty much the full picture. So when did I get long BYND? And I sold way too early, but actually I didn't sell way too early. I sold perfectly. I sold perfectly the way I wanted to. I am not mad in any shape or form, but obviously I did sell a little too early. So I would not be buying this long up here. In fact, I'd probably say that most people are about to get cooked up here. And here are my reasons why. So I was long on this day. So I started buying BYND on this day. Sold some here, then some in the after hours, and then closed out into the next day as we got into the twos, into the pre-market, because that's all I was going for. I was going for a back test of like the 4-hour trend right here. So you see how, so here are my two. This is what I did for BYND. I said the other day, this went into an uptrend over the 30 minutes. So just like look at HHS today, HHS, right? So where did it go into an uptrend? Over the 30 minute, which are these two lines, right? Or well, hold on, I gotta get into a pre-market chart here real quick. So like if you look at HHS, right, where did HHS go into an uptrend? Over the reds. Where's the back test of uptrend? Reds, right? Little popper Magoo there, which kind of looks pretty. Again, it's just not picking up volume the way I'd like. So actually HHS, just in case, I'm going to basically deleverage that, because this is not getting that vibe I like. Maybe it picks up, I don't know, but either way. So it's the same thing there with HHS. It's the same strategy. Doesn't matter. Whatever stock it is, I have the same exact strategy for all of them. So here you go, regular trading. Back to BYND, 30 minute, etc. Where am I at? All right, here we are. So essentially, BYND did what? Goes into an uptrend where this line's at. And then for me, I was targeting to the 4-hour trend. So essentially, this is what it looks like, extended trading hours. And then I'm going to draw, it's already up there. All right, cool. So when did BYND go into an uptrend? Right, essentially there. All right, so market did what on BYND? It actually went into a 15-minute uptrend here, and then the 15-minute went 30, and then the 30-minute went positive, 30-minute being their key one. So I was long, not through that. I missed that, but I started getting long into that day. And it was mainly just because the uptrend started on that day. There was tons of volume. It's a very popular, well-known stock from the past, so I figured there'd kind of be some social buzz around it. Or just like an emotional tie to it, because everyone knows Beyond Meat, fake meat during like the COVID boom and whatever, right? So there's just that social, emotional tie to the stock. So when I saw it go into an uptrend, and then there was just so much volume, it was kind of just one of those ones like, why on earth is there so much volume on BYND as it's going through this uptrend? And it's, like, why? It's like, I don't care, I'm gonna buy it, right? It's like, we're in an uptrend, tons of volume, social buzz around it, a lot of emotional tie. I'm just gonna buy it. That's pretty much was my thought. Like, it's not, I'm like, oh, like, cup and handle, bull flag, the news. Yeah, it was really just like, I don't know, dude. Why? For whatever reason, this is going into an uptrend with a shit ton of volume. Don't really know, but I'm gonna get long. So that was it. So I got long the day the long breakout started over the 30-minute and targeted to only $2, which was my 4-hour trend. This thing ended up running up to a high of 9, almost 10. And this right here, where I'm pointing, is +3, +4 standard deviation. So essentially the market is, if they scheme me out of HHS, I'm gonna be pissed at myself. I may have just made a mistake, but yeah, sometimes you're dumb and you let your thoughts think you're smarter than the system. So this could be a perfect example of where I just screwed myself out of a good trade. You're a dummy. Well, whatever. There's always tomorrow, and like 16 more million stocks are going to go into an uptrend, so I'm not even tripping. But yeah, so this is +3, +4 here. So essentially what's happened is we've run up to an extremely overbought location. This is where I used to short penny stocks all the time. I haven't shorted a penny stock in so long because I just got my ass kicked during the COVID boom and lost hundreds of G's. That sucked. It was so painful. So then I never went back. I made a bunch of money shorting penny stocks, and then I lost a lot of the money that I made, unfortunately. Thank gosh it wasn't all of that money, but gave back so much of it that I kind of like was like, all right, well, that strategy don't work anymore. But it still does. I've seen it kind of come back. But now I kind of just don't like to pay for now I kind of refuse to pay the short location fees. To me, that's just a scam the industry pulls, making you pay for short location fees when the industry puts on naked shorts all the time. And, so it's just another money grab that the industry pulls, and I really don't like it. So I kind of stopped shorting penny stocks in that regard. And then also I was kind of like, maybe I should stop betting against stocks too, because that's never necessarily a good thing against people who are going long. So either way, I don't be shorting them anymore, also paying broker's fees, but strategy still works. So anyways, what's going on here is market is blown up to a +3, +4 Sigma, extremely overbought. So this is one way I used to short penny stocks, is when they broke out +3, +4 and got overbought. In that sense, I would short them back down to the back test. And if you break down, then you go into a full breakdown, right? If you hold here, then any sort of statistical probability person like myself or anyone shorting is about to get their ass just handed to them. And that's how I lost a shit ton of money during the COVID boom, was because stocks were no longer respecting my statistical probabilities. So I'd be like, oh yeah, dude, this thing's way overbought. Yeah, we're just going to pound a short 10,000 shares, no problem, or whatever. And then it's like, oh, actually you're not going to break down anymore. You're just going to go supernova like 300% up. Like, oh yeah, like that totally makes sense. So that's how I got roasted, was basically shorting penny stocks when the strategy and markets kind of flipped on me. And I just didn't transition quick enough during that period. But this is a scenario when stocks go supernova. The only time you will ever see a stock go supernova is it must first break out +3, +4 Sigma. No ifs, ands, or buts. Never been a scenario in history. All right, well, that's not true, because stocks can go supernova up to +3, +4. So people would categorize a supernova play. Oh, HHS, why did I screw myself? Oh, it's going to hurt when that thing goes. If it goes, but it's all right. It's all right. You live and you learn. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I made a little money on it, but just like, it's just pointless. But yeah, there we go. So that being said, if BYND holds over +3, +4, that means that pump can still be alive. And it becomes a dangerous time for short sellers, because normally things don't trade outside of +3 or +4 very often. And if they do, they typically don't last long, kind of like we saw here. Remember, we were just talking about BYND, and we're like, yeah, it broke out. I used to short them back down to the back test. That's another thing, is like, this went outside of +3 and quickly returned back to and below, right? So again, the market usually doesn't like to trade outside of the +3, +4 Sigma for a long time, or if at all. So when it starts to do that, it's an anomaly, right? It's not a normal market circumstance. So take, for example, most stocks never reach +3, nor do they break above it, nor do they last above it for very long. Knowing that, we would always short there, right? And we would just make a killing. It was almost too easy back in the day. I used to just wake up and make grands every day, like in seconds, when I had the right play. Then got cooked, psychology changed, and here we are now. But anyways, so yeah, this is a back test of +3, +4. If the market on BYND doesn't break this out, it runs the risk of causing a supernova run, because everyone that's piling in short just gets roasted. So it's really up to the game. It's up to the system. I couldn't tell you for sure. It's just one of those things. If the market wants it, it's going to do it. And that's the location that we focus on for that sort of thing to occur. So when people say things are going supernova, If it's not over +3, +4, I don't think it's supernova. It can have a really explosive move to a +3, +4, and I'll actually show you what I'm talking about by bringing up the standard deviation. One second on this chart here. All right, so see how if you look at the standard deviation channel, right? There it is, right? So we're right at +3, +4 on the daily and the weekly. So if I'm just going to map off +4, I'm not going to just do the +3, but I'll just do +4. So if you look at where we're at, and I'll zoom in on the weekly here, you can see we're getting like to that level. So this is where like people love to short. I used to love to short here. Worked very well for a long time, and that's where we're at now. So if you zoom in and you really think about the statistics behind it, right? We went over +4. Market doesn't like to last that very long. What did it do? Instant drop back down, right? Then a lower high, and then it rolls down, right? Then it tries to break down, kind of doesn't. Then it recovers. I actually took a little long here this morning on BYND on this dip and sold into that move in the anticipation that maybe we would hold and then start to go supernova. Kind of rolled over, had to close out in that short-term trade. Now it's kind of like I'm still focused on, I'm still looking at, I'm like, are we going to get that acceptance and that love above +4 and run a supernova trade? Or not, you know, so that's something I'm thinking about. But, so anyways, that's BYND, that's a full scope. That being said, I'm not really I'm not loving being long here because obviously the long started a couple days ago when it broke the 30-minute. Like that's when you're really supposed to be long. So this is more of like the potential of some sort of supernova trade, or it's going to basically be the top of BYND. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Right? I could tell you when things go into an uptrend. I can't tell you when the markets and algorithms are going to choose to force things into a supernova trade, right? That's just whoever controls the market will do that if they want to do that, right? That's how that game goes. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you know, grab BYND, supernova long. Absolutely not. It's a terrible idea. We're right at +3, +4. It's kind of like a hopeful, wishful thinking. But when it does happen, it's freaking crazy, right? We actually had one a couple weeks back. I forget the name of it, but there was one a couple weeks back that went supernova and it broke over the +3, +4, and I looked at it at one point during the day, but then did not look at the statistics on it. But if I had looked at the statistics behind it, I would have realized that it had the potential for a supernova, and it actually was a good setup. But I just didn't put enough thought into it when I was looking at it. But anyways, that's that. Let's go back to the market. Market pretty much doing pretty much nothing, right? Wow, that's almost like what we said would happen this morning before the market opened, because we could see what? We could see that the volatility index could very well break out the 15-minute trend. What happens when the VIX breaks out the 15-minute trend? We start to add a little fear to the market. Not so much that we're going to break the markets down into crazy sell-offs typically, but enough so to kind of put a damper on the long, right? And so when we go look at the market, what's happening today? Pretty much nothing. Right, there might be some data or something. I don't know. I'm not even paying attention to that. Like, I really am not for the moment. But yeah, so there you have it. I mean, we're just basically trying to work the market down towards that 15-minute trend on the VIX, as we suggested, as soon as market open, pretty much. Let's find, where is my 15-minute? Sure it is. So here we are, 15-minute trend, VIX somewhere. Here we are. Again, it's clear as day. Like pretty much once these lows or whatever on VIX give out, it's just going to go right down to that 15-minute trend. It's very rare that like the market does not go to the level I say it's going to go to on the VIX. I hate to sound like cocky in that regard. Like I want to be humble about it, but once you see it too many times, I mean, there's no point of me saying it any other way, right? It doesn't make sense to be like, well, guys, like maybe it's gonna this is what's going to happen, right? There's only so many scenarios, and once you see them play out, this is what it is, right? So we've already discussed this. The VIX right now, for whatever reason, is holding right around the 17-minute SMA calculation. You see that? We're just kind of riding this one down right now, and we haven't broken it down. Obviously, those are algorithms holding. because algorithms read markets based off SMA calculations because they're universal, systematic, programmable, right? So this is all computers, right? So this is what we do. We think of SMA and we think of computers and we think of how computers control markets. So right now the SMAs and the computers are holding a 17-minute trend. Why? I have no idea. That's something I never focus on, but I just like thought of it today and I'm like, well, I can already see they're not moving it quickly to the 15 minutes, so there has to be something there that they're using. And the computers, for whatever reason, are using SMA 17 right now. And that's how computers, that's another thing. So cryptography, right? So how computer language and code can speak to one another, right? So, for example, this is how computers manipulate equities. So whether you want to call it insider trading or just straight up manipulation, I don't really care, whatever one resonates with you. I like to call it insider manipulation, insider trading too. But this is how they do it and not get caught. We know it happens and we know it goes on. So this is the type of insider trading that isn't necessarily information that's given to another individual, but it's information that's spoken about within stock market charts via SMA calculation. So for example, President Trump was president number 47, right? So what does that make him now? President, 49 or whatever? So nowadays, right? Am I saying that right? I'm not like super into politics anymore. I was for a hot minute and then realized that I'm just giving my life away to something pointless and wasting my energy on things that don't matter. So I stopped looking at all that stuff and realized that things are just never going to change anyway. So I don't put my hope in men, right? Just like God says, don't put your trust in men. So stop doing that. So President Trump he's number 49 right now. Number 49 because Biden was 48. Yeah. So basically, put it this way: if President Trump is speaking, or there's a speech, or there's a big announcement that he's going to be doing, algorithms and computers are going to be looking to move markets and equities off of SMA calculation 49 on any given time frame. And once the computers have decided on the time frame, they're using, they will then manipulate the markets on SMA 49. Understand? And the computers, it's like a handshake game. They're looking to make a deal, right? The computers in the markets and insider manipulation and insider trading via SMA cryptography calculation, which is SMAs, they're looking for that kind of handshake. It's a scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So all the computers in the market, in a sense, they're competing against each other, but they're also working together in a cohesive manner, which is, where are we going to manipulate markets today? How are we going to do it? What SMA calculation? Once that's decided, and when I say once that's decided, it's decided in the sense that, like this, the market will just pick an SMA, it will pin drop to it, and it will not break. Us as humans, we can't really decide that or read that as easily. There's some people that can do it. I know like one or two on Twitter. I can't. I've gotten better. I don't look at the market as detailed as some of these other guys do. But anyways, that being said, it's cryptography. It's code language between computers and algorithms. And they will manipulate, aka insider trading, via computers. It's computers doing the insider trading. It's not humans going, hey, this stock, I know they got a big deal coming through. Let me just verbally talk to you in a meeting, or let me send it in an email and get my ass caught real quick. No, they'll use computers now. The computers will do the insider trading by speaking in cryptography language via computers and go, President Trump's talking today. We're going to scour every single time frame that the market trades on, and we're going to look for the exact pin drop to SMA 49. And once we believe that this is the correct 49 SMA on time frame 1 second, 10 second, 30 second, 1 minute, 20 minute, etc. That's where we're going to hold the markets, and then we're going to manipulate them higher. So that's how insider transaction takes place in the market via computers. They do all the talking behind the scenes, cryptography. That way people don't necessarily have to say about it, talk about it, so on and so forth. So that's what goes on. You guys remember back in the day when Elon Musk used to talk about like taking the company private at 420, and then he would always like post stuff on Twitter joking about like smoke. Remember, like he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, smoking the joint, and he's making jokes about 420. Since he joked about 420 and then talked about taking his company private at 420, the SMA calculation 420 started to work exceptionally well on Tesla. So that being said, insiders and computers were starting to manipulate Tesla stock around the SMA calculation 420 because they could attach 420 to something Elon would say all the time. So behind the scenes, what do they say when they want to move the Tesla market? 420, SMA 420. I mean, dude, there's so much to it. You guys have no idea how this game is manipulated. You couldn't even imagine. So that all happens, and so they use SMA calc. So that's why you always see me looking at SMAs and stuff like very closely, because that's how computers talk. They look at Fibonacci. They talk about Fibonacci, volume, SMAs. Computers give two shits about a pattern. They don't care about a head and shoulders, a bull flag, of any of that. That's exactly why that's what's taught on the internet. That's exactly why that's like the most popular videos, because it's so easy to trick someone that way. Like, oh, it's simple. Just look at like a stock chart. Memorize this pattern. You will do well. Like, absolutely not. That's how you're going to get cooked. And unfortunately, I was a victim of that myself. And then also someone who relayed that message to other people and led people astray. Unfortunately, right? But it's sort of my fault, but not my fault, because that's just how the industry manipulates you from the start when you first start trading. And then you get to a level where I am at, which is you're not really the world's best trader. You make a little money here and there, but you've been here for so long, you see the market for what it is, and you no longer want to participate in the market in the way that they set up for you in the first place, which is, a bull flag, RSI, overbought, oversold, which those things do matter to a degree, but that's what I mean. The more you're in the game, the more you see it for what it is, you realize how much of a scam pretty much everything is in the market. And so that's what it comes down to, So that's why you see me looking at SMAs all the time, because I know that's just how computers talk, and that's their cryptography, and that's their language. And then that's arguably why they don't let my YouTube stream go viral, because they don't, they don't want it. They'd rather push somebody's YouTube stream that's talking about bull flags and patterns and shit that doesn't work, right? The last thing they want is some dude who's always posting free YouTube videos and just doing live streams all day long that pretty much talks about things that matter, right, in the market. At least that's my thoughts. Those are my superstitions. I guess I could be proven wrong in years to come if YouTube actually allows our channels to go viral. But anyways, we'll see. So hope you guys like that spiel. So you see how, look at that. You see how we've held SMA calculation 17 here? And what do you guys think's happening to the market? Can anyone guess what's happening to the market? You think it's going down? I would imagine it's going down. Oh my gosh, it's going down. And look at, where did we go? We went to the level that we already mapped off. Not because the market was going to go there for sure right now, but because we just know that that's a likely pullback destination, because it's an unbalanced energy in the market, the universe. That's unbalanced. Market can't be like that forever. So what are we doing? We're just waiting for the VIX to wake up. VIX is waking up. Market's pulling down. Market internal is bearish. Bing, bang, boom. That's how that. There's really no point of view. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. Have fun. I mean, it is beautiful. You gotta admit, that was pretty lit. So like, look at this. Ready? So this was an unbalanced 61.8. So what time is it? 10:28. So we got 2 minutes left on this candle. So in 2 minutes, we're going to be drawing a new 30-minute Fibonacci to the downside, like this. So we'll see where this candle closes. And then that 5 minutes test, so which means you already hit the 161 there. Yeah. And actually, if you look at the continuation of the Fibonacci cycle on the new 30-minute candle right now, it's 161 energy expulsion down, actually lines up with the previous 61.8 that's never been tested here. So now you actually have confluence potentially starting, where you have unbalanced energy from a couple days ago lining up with new expulsion energy down that could come into play as long as things just keep progressing, right? Which would be like the VIX keeps going up, markets keep going down. So this is where we're starting to see confluence where two Fibonacci's are lining up, right? You have expulsion energy down and you have rebalance energy from the past. And so basically that's a target now with confluence overlap. And that's obviously, well, hold on, actually it's changing because this candle hasn't closed, so I have to adjust. It's actually a little lower now, but nonetheless. So that's not as confluence as it was, but you get the point because we kind of dropped out. So maybe if I didn't say anything, maybe the candle would have stayed up and then it would have made more sense. But anyway, so the way this is going to work on the 30-minute is what? We're basically either going to be trading down to that guy next and or that guy next, and the market will need to maintain below here to do so as it relates to the 30-minute structure. So there's the close of the 30-minute. Here's the start of the new 30-minute. So if the 30-minute stays below 78.6, you're more likely to see, you know, arguably the move down to the 61.8 in the shorter term. If we don't maintain 78.6, we're going to go back up, generally back test the 61.8, and then you still have the potential to roll it down, etc. But anyway, so that's all the details there. Give it some time. All this stuff's going to play out, what I just said, because, again, markets can only go up and down. So obviously if you think up and think down, of course stuff's going to hit, right? Yeah, again, I'm sorry if, you know, again, I do sound kind of cocky in this stuff sometimes. I don't mean to be. Like, I really want, I think I'm humble for the most part. I just get excited and I do this stuff so often. I look at the stuff that it's less of me trying to be, it could do this, it could do this. I just try to be direct with the things that I say in the analysis that I put forward, because I don't think there's any other way to be. You know, I remember the days where I was confused and I didn't quite know, and, you know, there's this and that, you know, and that can lead people astray too. So I just try to be straightforward, direct with the things that I'm looking at and the things that I'm saying, and take it for what it is, right? It's not me trying to be cocky. It's just trying to be direct with the things that we're trying to provide on the stream. There's a million other guys on YouTube you can go watch. They're going, oh, well, I think divergence may be this. I don't know. The Fed's going to say so. No, just look at, here it is. This is most likely what's going to play out. That's what I try to do. So anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying today's stream. I hope all this is making sense. And if it's not, don't worry, because you have your entire life to keep learning, and this stock market's going nowhere. So remember, we're basically looking downwards to like this line here. That might be wrong. No, that's right. Yeah, we're looking down at like that line to arguably as low as here, off the backs of the VIX continuing to perform the way it is. Let me bring up the VIX. VIX, look at that. Look at that. Dude, I mean, you gotta admit, like, how wild is it? We're like, yeah, we're gonna take SMA 17 today. Like, think about that. Like, who on planet Earth? Well, there's computers clearly, but like, what individuals? Like, you know what? For some reason, it's not going to my 15 minutes, so there has to be something in between that the algorithms are using, and we found it. It wasn't totally perfect, right? But I mean, that's pretty darn clean. They're just rolling that 17, and then they just wouldn't let it break, so pow, up. Which at the end of the day, if you think about it, the 15-minute, what does that really look like? It just pretty much looks like a 15-minute breakout, back test and go, even though we failed to back test. So I think I'm just getting better at when they try to front run. Like for example, we know this is a breakout, and we know that the back test would be there. So instead of back testing, making it super easy on us, how about they hold the 17 just prior and then ramp it up? So I'm getting better at understanding their little tricks that they try to pull on us. That being said, we got to look at the 30-minute now. I don't think we're anywhere really getting into the 30-minute. Oh yeah, and you see how we use the 20-minute here as resistance first? Now we've kind of cleared it, which basically means one of two things, right? Generally, it's either got to come back down and back test or go up to the next one. I'm not going to focus too much on that one, though, because I don't want to use too much there. So 30 minutes all the way up here. So that would be best case scenario, is like back to the 30-minute, but that's asking for a lot right now. But let's look at something else here. Like a 22. Could be using a 22 here. Oh, Of course, Thinkorswim just doesn't want to load. So we got the 22-minute SMA there, so that's another thing that computers are reading on. And let's look at, say, like oh, they got like a 25 in there? Or is it just jumped to 30? There's a 25. Okay, come on, Thinkorswim, like you get it together. So the 25's all the way up there. That would be nice. So I would say the 25, that 25 is going to be more attainable than the 30, but of course we would obviously like to see the 30. So this is going to be like best case scenario for this market today on the VIX is like getting up into 1975 to 2043. That's something I can see taking place. Now, like we said too, remember we talked about the 15-minute breakout. It can cause the markets to pull back. So far, this is a better pullback than I kind of thought we would get with that 15-minute breakout. But like I said, sometimes the market uses the 15-minute, breaks it out, it runs the markets to the 30-minute, and it can create a big bounce, and it can create big pullbacks. But when we start breaking out the 15-minute, we never really want to be so gung-ho bias bearish that's our kind of thought there. So anyways, hopefully you guys are enjoying. Let's just double check some of the, I'm going to delete these fibs from the previous day because I already mapped off the levels I need, so I don't really need the fibs there anymore. And now I'm going to look at some of our 5-minute structure that we just built on the way down and start overlaying our 5 minutes on top of our 30. So we got, looks like this one's untested there. So that's a no GP tag. So that 5-minute puts us down there. So the 5-minute cycle target right now is the red line to that 1618. Yeah. So that green box on the downside, that's arguably where we're looking. Because it's not only the 618 from the previous day, but it's also the new 5-minute 616 that was created on this drown out candle. And of course, remember, markets don't always have to move exactly perfect to the levels I say, right? But generally speaking, that's the case. Now, the more you learn about fib, you know, if you clear a level, it invalidates, and yeah, I don't want to get into all that. I just want to try and keep things as simple as I can. Ooh, look at that shy boy. So again, this is a good chance you may even test that 1618 on the 5-minute. That's untested. So you can essentially see, like in this scenario, we came down, got our first 30-minute untest. So again, that was like one of the targets down, right? So we got that one. This would be our next target down. We've shied it. And you can see in here the 5-minute has not tested the 618. So essentially this is still open on the downside, and this is still open on that 5-minute upside. So in short, as long as market does not go above 618, you still have opportunity to go down there, etc. Let's look at some 1-minute volume weighted average prices from this drop, because that was important. So if we take a VWAP, throw it on that bad boy on this 1-minute high, and then we're also going to take the breakdown candle here. We'll pretty much state, that's another thing too, if they want to, I mean, this is the volume weighted average price area, so ultimately if we don't maintain that 61.8 on the 5-minute down, we're going to end up, oh, is this the 5-minute chart? That's why I'm like, hold up. Yeah, there we go. So, okay, so the top down, so this VWAP and then this guy here. Also would be there and then there. All right, so right now our 1-minute volume weighted average price counter trend pop VWAP structure pretty much lines up with the 5-minute 1618. So we're still good as far as 1-minute rolling resistance. We haven't taken out the 1-minute VWAPs yet, and it's still priced at the same price as the 618. So that's good for rolling resistance for the moment. Let me check some of the market internals so I can have maybe a little bit more conviction on this. Yeah, all the market internals look like ass, so we're good. Pretty much. Maybe not pretty much. The SPY started bouncing. Those are bad, and these are bad. So there's not enough buying pressure in this exact moment, I would say. There's not really. I mean, maybe it changes, but for the moment, things are still a little shisty in the market. Let me double check the New York Stock Exchange. New York Stock Exchange is bouncing. So we got a little long, bearish, slightly bearish, slightly bearish, bearish. So overall bearish in that immediate overview look. Dang. What's going on with Bitcoin? Nothing. GOTC, what is this guy? Any sort of little penny stocks that we can get going? That one already started. HHS still holding up. Not holding my position. Close it, but it's holding up. BNBX, that one has not tested anything good. BNF. That was a miss today. That was the one. Well, wait, no, that one never tested the level. No, it did. Yeah, it got close, or it did. No, it didn't. It got very close. So BENF was another one that I was looking for, like a back test long, but somehow I missed that one. But either way, AREB not ready. Ah, you son of a pup. Son of a pup. So no, well, it wasn't really great. Yeah, whatever. Market rolling down. Who would have thought? This is turning into a little bit of a bigger pullback than I would have been. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's turning into a little bit of a bigger pullback than I would have thought for the day. But like we said, markets can always do as they please. But yeah, we never. I mean, not necessarily, but either way, like we had the 15-minute breakout today, so this is what I would just call just markets pulling back due to volatility increase and market internals not performing today. So yeah, in short, that's pretty much how you predict when the markets can top out using your 15-minute and your 30-minute. That's when you're going to start to see a lackluster long move it, right? So, you know, think about the new trader that walks in the market. They're like buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, and they haven't looked at the volatility index once and realized it's going into a buy move. So we're pretty much getting lackluster long, right? Now, that being said, the market still isn't in a sell signal, right? If we go look at, actually, that reminds me, we got to look at the 30-minute. Are we into the buy signal VWAPs? We are. So remember we talked about this morning about these buy signal VWAPs being a pullback destination, whether it be happening today but it was going to happen at some point, right? So that was our pullback destination for volume weighted average price. Basically, if these don't hold, so this is kind of where it's at. Like this is a lot of times a good dip buy location. You know, I don't want to say a lot of times. It used to be really good. Then I shared it a little bit, and then it started to kind of fade some. But that's okay. But yeah, that's a big over-under we're at for the volume-weighted average price there. So if we don't maintain and we end up breaking down, we'll obviously see the 30-minute, etc., and then lower band. This is a basically worst-case scenario sell-off today, right down there. That would be full-fledged breakdown, sell-off, reset markets. If that happens, we're going to see the... So essentially, if we go trade down to this lower box, VIX is obviously going to go up, and the VIX you will see hit that 30-minute trend we talked about today. So essentially, if we're able to sell this market down to said box, you can expect price on VIX will be at 30-minute trend. 30-minute trend is priced at $20.47. Arguably, that may be stretching it, but yeah, you could assume if we take the market all the way down to that lower green box, you probably see the VIX close to that 2047. Maybe not exactly, but pretty close. So, for the moment, we don't really have a reason to be surprised on your Discord. Surprise? Why is this being weird? Nice, beautiful trade there, Mehdi. Yeah, Mehdi made a beautiful trade. We were kind of reviewing BYND last night, talking about it. I don't know when he put the trade on, but made a nice little chunk of change there with BYND. So that's cool. Good job, Mehdi. And yeah, did BYND? I haven't looked at it. What is it doing? It's just hanging out, not really doing a whole lot. But it figures. I mean, the thing pumped up over a couple days. Everyone's all juiced up. You know, hit the head. You know, when CNBC starts talking about it, you know you're cooked, right? Absolutely cooked when they start talking about that. So let's go back into our SPY chart, because obviously with this move down, we just hit our next target down most likely. Pretty much, right? You see how we got that little green box there, red line, 6185 minutes. So we just basically transitioned, we just balanced, well, not quite. Well, we did. We balanced our 30-minute energy from a couple days ago, and we still have yet to balance the 5-minute energy here down to 1618, but regardless, all good. Just hitting our targets as we normally do, telling people what's going to happen, and it happens. Gotta love it. Oh, baby. Let me make sure I got this fib right. It's right. So we're still supposed to theoretically go down a little bit to 66852. There it goes. Balanced energy on the 5-minute. Ding, ding, ding. Actually, it still isn't. There it goes. There's the true 5-minute energy balance. Oh, the laws of the universe. Thank you, Brandon, for finally drilling it into my gosh darn head, too. Now this is becoming way too much fun on top of my systems, and now that I'm finally starting to kind of learn his, oh gosh, this is too much fun. Too much fun. Oh, Lord. This is a great day. Blessed are you, God, King of all kings, holiest of all holies. We appreciate your wisdom and guidance that you provide to us on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, Lord. All glory to you. What time is it? 10:45. Oh, wait, that's right. I gotta check my email. Yeah, so real quick, what am I saying? 30-minute cycle. So our next fib levels down with continuation would be the 30-minute 161 here. Let me just double check too. 5 minutes balanced, balanced. Well, actually, it's unbalanced there, so that's a 5-minute. Oh, Snike, I don't want to do that. Control Z. That 5-minute would be unbalanced there. So just keep watching this. Just keep watching it down. That's pretty much it. So I'll just move this little green box so that you. Oh wait, that's not it. I'll just move this guy down to like right about there. Okay, so that's the next 1618 down for 30-minute. Gosh. Hold on, sorry guys. Joel, I need you to send my tax paperwork, please. What else do I pay you so much money for? Hold on, guys. I'm gonna make a phone call on my account. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. And what's happening? I don't know. Well, dang, that one shit the bed hard. Look at this. This is a perfect example of the system. Look at this. Look at this penny stock today. FLWS. So let's map off where we know algorithmic trend location would be at. Down there, 457, along with our 4-hour trend, which is right here. So what happened? Over the past couple days, what did they do? They pushed this market into an uptrend, held the uptrend. The computers, high frequency trading, dark pool trading, those that manipulate markets sent off the buy algorithm today / yesterday into the after hours, etc. And as a result, what did we see? We saw the stock FLWS blow up into a long. So the long started back here. They basically held it in the anticipation probably some news or something was coming, insider information. Then they sent off the buy algorithm, blew it all the way up, and now the stock has crashed to where? Right to where the uptrend started. So if the market wants to remain in an uptrend, it has to not go below the current price. So that means everyone that basically doesn't know what they're doing, in a sense, that just started trading this week, woke up, CNBC, and a bunch of YouTube streamers that are talking about penny stocks blowing up are going, oh, this one's great, and there's momentum, and then all the way back down to there. So you must understand that when and if you are going to involve yourself with such a stock at such a price, you can measure your risk. So from 888 all the way down to where we know the uptrend location is, this 47%. So if you're buying here, you had to be okay risking a drop of 47%. Not that you'd hold it all the way for 47%, but ultimately that if the market wants to remain in an uptrend, it could literally come all the way down here and then go all the way back up still, in theory, right? So it's about knowing where the uptrend, downtrend locations are at, because obviously when the uptrend stops going up and we reverse and go down, it has to go all the way down to where the uptrend's at in order to even go into a downtrend. So all of this is, it's, 1 minute, 5 minute, 30 minute, it's short term down, but still in a macro long in theory. So I just feel bad for all those people today that got cooked on that stock without knowing there was a potential for a 47% well, not a potential of a 47% decline, but they were trading 47% away from algorithmic programs, essentially, in a sense. So yeah, they got cooked. Again, that's why, this morning, why didn't, for example, I didn't even talk about this one. That's why. Why would I talk about this stock that's already blown up? The buy signal started days ago. We're super late. And I would never put you guys onto that one. Would it make sense? That's something that I didn't know in the past, and I unfortunately did, and pushed people in the wrong direction. But nowadays, I would never do that. That's stupid. Thank you, Mehdi. I appreciate that. You can pay me back by just sharing our streams, being a part of our community, and spreading the word and the love. That's pretty much it. That's all we need. All right, so pretty much what's going on here, that one's done, kind of. I have to, so we're doing the 5 minute here. 5 minute GP, so that's what we're gonna do, pretty much do. So this should go up just a tad bit more, at least get that 61.8 in there. I know there's a lot of lines in here. I'm actually gonna clean some of this up. So this 30 minute right there has already hit the 161. The only thing we have left to do is back test the 61.8. So arguably we're also going to 670.17 here. So we should, I think we're going to see this market pop back up into about 670.18. We'll see. We're testing the 5 minute GP right now, but we already hit the 161. So in terms of energy from 618 to 618, which is really no reason for a need to go down on the 5 minute, right? Yeah, no need for the 5 minute. And did we complete we didn't complete that 161, so then obviously we're going back up to 670.14. It would make the most sense, but we'll see. I mean, it's only pennies at this point. I don't know, the 5 minutes done, so I can delete that 5 minute. 5 minutes no longer of value to me. What about a 15? 15 doesn't have a GP, does it? Let's just double check. So the 15 lines up pretty much with the 30, so that would tell us that we're expecting price to get to right here on this pop, at least. GPT. Ooh, that's interesting. Is that something? Huh. That's untested, so that means that's going to happen at some point, but not really focused on that for the moment, so we'll delete that. Okay. And now we're looking at the reversal up, so let's take a look at the 5 minute lows here. And delete that. Take that off because now we've reset. Well, no, I still need that for the 161. I can come back to that. All right, so now let's take a look from the low side. So the low side, no GP1 up to 261. Okay, now we're gonna pull back. So that's to there, and that's to there. So we basically got a pullback probably on the way down here to 66967 at least, I would imagine. It seems very likely we should do that. All right, because it's a 5 minute there. So yeah, let's double check our 1 minutes. A 1 minute's got a no GP there. That's a GP, probably a GP, no GP. Okay. Some kind of lackluster 1 minute stuff. Yeah, anyways. I don't really have anything in this moment here that I think is like amazing. Just kind of a bounce up, so on and so forth. But yeah, if I clean this up just a bit, and we'll get back into this, right? So we're looking at some of these things here. So you got, we already hit that 161, so that's complete. So the next step would be this 5 minute, which would be completing the 61.8 or our 161. So basically what's going to happen from this situation, market's going to go up or down, but this is pretty much our long target up on the 5 minute with acceptance staying above 618. So as long as you maintain that 618, you'll look up 161 there. And obviously that's going to be easier to do if the VIX is cooperating in the same manner, which it kind of is for the moment, and then as long as the market internals cooperate, which currently they kind of appear to be. Yeah, most things are kind of bouncing in this moment, and so if that kind of continues, then obviously up in that 1618 would be somewhat desirable there. Granted, we don't have many back tests here, so let's just track the volume weighted average prices real quick, so that in the event we don't just have immediate expulsion to 161 and maybe we pull back. Might have to attack some of these VWAP levels as well, but so far that trend's relatively strong up, so yeah, we might just shoot up into that 161, but we'll see. So right now, our desired pullback destinations for this market as it relates to 1 minute cycles would basically be these two boxes I'm drawing. So essentially, these are all kind of pullback and dip, wrong thing, pullback and dip locations up. And yeah, I mean, in a sense, we got a target up here on the 5 minute, but we still haven't really tested some of these VWAPs. So again, likely we see a pullback down into said box here, 161 or 60.18. Then if we can hold here, still have the opportunity to move up. If we fail this zone, then we'll probably start looking lower down to like right there or something. But anyways, you get the point. Time is at 11:03. Oh, probably going to get ready to rock and roll here pretty soon. Again, a lot of busy days going on. Selling a house, fixing a garage, launching a website. Speaking of, let's see if they got back to me. If they haven't gotten back to me, we're going to have some serious issues. And you have not gotten back. Okay, this is becoming a problem. And the worst part is you guys don't have live chat. Daniel, I need answers. ASAP. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, let me bring up the VIX again real quick. I'm gonna delete a lot of this randomness on there, but it just looks like the market's it's coming back to that 17-minute to that 15-minute right now. So that's all. So in short, what do we had? We had a short-term break on the 15-minute used to pull the markets back today, and now we're kind of rallying them back up and along, and we still have yet to back test this 15-minute. So as we said before, once the 17-minute gets taken out, you go down to the 15-minute. We're going to keep pressing this market up on a bounce right now is the way it seems. And as we said before, right, the 15-minute is just an early trend that we look to use to pull markets down, but not fully put them into sell signals. That's the 30-minute, right? So we use the 15-minute fear, volatility break. We pulled the markets back, but it's not, we haven't broken out the 30-minute, so we're not in like a full-blown sell move. But anyways, I will catch you guys maybe tomorrow if our website and everything gets launched properly. And it probably won't be on YouTube today, but I'm still waiting to hear back from this dude. He's basically, making this process not as easy as it should be. So that's no fun. So anyways, I will maybe see you guys tomorrow, maybe not. I don't really know. And then once our new website's launched, again, I probably won't be online as frequently, unfortunately, but I'll still try to show face here and there. And do what we normally do. So anyways, cheers guys. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully things go well for you for the remainder of the day. Cheers.